If you ever hear a knock at your door at 3 in the morning, don't do what I did. I know how that sounds, like some tired urban legend recycled from a Reddit thread, but I promise you, I wish more than anything that I had ignored it. I didn't, and now I'm stuck here, telling you this, hoping maybe you'll listen before it's too late for you too. It started with the sound, not a loud bang, not even the kind of panicked pounding you'd expect if someone were in trouble. No, it was softer, measured, polite even. 3 slow taps against the wood of my front door, almost apologetic. And somehow, that was worse. I remember staring at the clock on my phone, my bleary eyes struggling to focus on the digits. 3 a.m., perfectly on the dot. The kind of detail you notice only when something feels wrong, when your body is screaming at you to pay attention. I had been scrolling aimlessly through my feed, watching half-muted videos of people I'd never meet, caught between boredom and insomnia. Nothing unusual, nothing frightening. And then came those knocks. At first, I thought I'd imagined it. Maybe the neighbors. Maybe my brain filling the silence with something phantom. But then it came again. 3 more taps, deliberate this time, as though whoever it was wanted me to know they were still out there. You might think the first thing I did was get up, peek through the peephole, maybe check a camera feed. But that wasn't me. I froze. Not because I was scared, at least not yet, but because I was confused. Who the hell comes knocking at 3 a.m.? My phone buzzed in my hand, the screen lighting my face with its dull glow, and for a second, I thought maybe it was a message from a friend, someone who'd gotten drunk and decided to show up at my door like it was 2012 again. But the screen was empty. No notifications, no messages, nothing but that clock, ticking away the minutes past 3. Then came the whisper. It was faint, almost too quiet to make out, like words carried through a wall. At first, I thought it was the wind threading through the cracks in the doorframe. But no, it was speech. Low, breathy, wrong. My name. That's what made my skin crawl. Not the knock itself, not the timing, but the fact that whoever, or whatever, was outside my door knew my name. They whispered it like they'd been rehearsing, like they were trying it on their tongue for the first time. I should have called someone. Should have grabbed a knife, should have turned every light in the house on and made it clear I wasn't playing games. But I didn't. Instead, I just sat there in the half-dark, the glow of my phone screen painting my face pale and ghostly, listening as the knocks came again. 3 more. Patient. Certain. You're probably wondering what I did next. Did I open it? Did I run? Did I scream? Did I pray? I'll tell you, but not yet. You need to understand how I got here, how an ordinary night turned into the worst mistake of my life. Because trust me, if I just told you straight out, you'd call me a liar, or worse, you'd laugh it off like another creepypasta. I thought the same thing once. I thought all those late-night warnings were stories people made up for clicks and karma. But there are rules. Old, ugly rules no one bothers to tell you until you've already broken them. And the first rule is this. Never open the door when someone knocks at 3 a.m. I learned that too late. But I'll rewind. Let me start from the beginning, so you understand exactly how everything spiraled out of control. To understand why that knock rattled me so badly, you need to see the night leading up to it. Because on the surface, it was as ordinary as nights come. Nothing cinematic, nothing worth remembering. Just me, slouched on the couch in sweatpants, lit by the glow of a Netflix menu I wasn't even paying attention to. I'd been scrolling through endless thumbnails, promising myself I'd pick something to watch. But I wasn't fooling anyone. I wasn't in the mood for a movie. My brain was fried from another sleepless night, and insomnia had dug its claws deep. So I did what I always do when my mind won't shut off. Doom scrolling. TikTok, Reddit, Instagram. Same loop. Different flavor of useless. A meme about a raccoon eating spaghetti. A Reddit thread debating whether ghosts could haunt Wi-Fi. A TikTok girl swearing she'd been stalked by something not human in Walmart. The kind of stuff you chuckle at, maybe roll your eyes, and then forget about 5 seconds later. At one point, I fired off a text in the group chat. Me? Anyone awake? Dylan, nah. Me. You literally just replied. Dylan, shut up. It was comforting in a dumb way. Dylan's sarcasm, Aaron's occasional gift spam, the usual late-night banter. We weren't solving life's mysteries, just distracting each other from them. On Discord, a couple of us were in a voice channel, but nobody was talking. Just background noise. Someone's fan whirring, someone else's keyboard clacking in rhythm with some game I wasn't playing. That low hum of online companionship you don't think about until it's gone. And honestly, if you dropped into my living room right then, you'd think I was the picture of peace. Bag of chips on the coffee table. Empty soda cans lined up like failed soldiers. Hoodie pulled tight around my ears like I was bracing for winter, even though the heater was humming away. My dog, Jasper, curled up at my feet, snoring soft enough to blend with the refrigerator's buzz. Normal, boring, forgettable. But in hindsight, little cracks were already forming. Like the lights. They flickered once, just long enough for me to glance up. Not a big deal. Cheap bulbs, right? Except my laptop screen dimmed at the same time, like the whole apartment sighed. And then, just as quickly, everything went back to normal. Or my phone. I swear it glitched. I was mid-scroll when the screen froze on some meme. For maybe 2 seconds, everything pixelated, then shifted like static before snapping back. I laughed it off, even joked in the chat. Me, my phone's possessed. If I disappear, blame Apple. Aaron, nah, demons got an Android vibe. Dylan, plot twist. Ghost just wants your Wi-Fi password. We all spammed laughing emojis. It was harmless. But Jasper wasn't laughing. He lifted his head from my foot, ears pricked, staring toward the front door. That stiff, alert posture dogs get when they sense something you don't. I nudged him with my toe, muttering, "Relax, buddy. Probably a squirrel or something." Still, he didn't move. His eyes stayed fixed on the door like it had grown teeth. I told myself not to be weird about it. Dogs bark at nothing all the time. They dream, they twitch, they act like idiots. But in the back of my mind, a seed had been planted. A little whisper reminding me that things weren't as harmless as I wanted to believe. I muted the Discord channel and leaned back, rubbing my eyes. All right, I muttered to myself, Netflix it is. No demons allowed. It was the kind of thing I always did, narrating my thoughts in half-jokes, like I could keep the silence from getting too heavy. The silence, though, had a way of pressing in. Every tiny creak of the building, every hum of the fridge, it all felt amplified. The glow of the TV, instead of being cozy, suddenly felt harsh. I tried to shake it off, told myself I was tired, that I was reading into things. But that's when my phone lit up on its own. No buzz, no sound, just screen on, like someone had tapped it. 3 a.m. Exactly. And right on cue, Jasper growled, low and guttural, his fur bristling against my leg. He wasn't looking at the TV, or me, or some invisible fly. He was staring straight at the door. I wish I could tell you I ignored it, that I laughed, that I brushed it all off and went to bed. But no, curiosity's a cruel thing. It hooks into you, drags you toward the one place you don't want to look. And that's when I heard the first knock. The first knock should have been enough to send me crawling under the blankets like a kid. Instead, I tried to play it cool. Amazon delivery. I muttered to myself, half a laugh under my breath. Yeah, sure, they're just a little early. Like 12 hours early. Jasper didn't share my humor. He was already at the door, nails clicking against the floorboards, growling low enough to vibrate through his chest. His tail was stiff, his body angled like he was ready to lunge. This wasn't his hey. I heard a noise bark. This was something deeper, more primal. Then my phone rang. I nearly dropped it. The screen lit up with the word unknown. No number, no caller ID, just the one word, glowing against the black background. I hesitated before answering. My thumb hovered over the screen, and for a second I considered letting it ring out. But curiosity won, like it always does. Hello. My voice cracked, like I was a teenager calling a crush. Nothing. Just silence. Not the kind of silence you get when a call drops, either. This was breathing silence. Heavy, deliberate, like someone holding the phone just close enough for me to know they were there. Then, click. The line went dead. Jasper barked, sharp and violent, his whole body slamming against the door as if trying to push it open. I grabbed his collar, trying to haul him back, but his gaze never wavered. He was locked onto something I couldn't see. That's when I heard the footsteps. Soft at first, like someone shifting their weight outside. Then clearer, shoes on concrete. Pacing, slow, steady, back and forth in front of my door. Every instinct in me screamed not to look. To grab my keys, my wallet, and bolt out the back. But of course I didn't. Because that's what makes people like me perfect victims. We need to know. So I leaned in. My hand shook as I slid the chain lock into place and pressed my eye to the peephole. And froze. I wish I could tell you I saw nothing. Or that I saw a prankster, some drunk neighbor fumbling for the wrong apartment. But what I saw, or what I think I saw, doesn't make sense. Even now, I can't explain it. The peephole warped the figure, stretching it, bending it. It looked like a person, tall, but not right. Too thin. The angles of the body were wrong, like a photograph folded in all the wrong places. And the face, God, I can't describe the face. It was blurred, like static, like my eye couldn't focus no matter how hard I tried. But I swear it was grinning. I stumbled back, heart pounding, my voice cracking as I muttered, "Nope, nope, nope, nope. Not today, not tonight." I tried to force a laugh, to turn the moment into a joke I could text my friends about later. But my throat was too dry, and the words tasted like lies. Another knock. Louder this time. Jasper went wild, teeth bared, barking until spit flew onto the door. I yanked him back, my own breath ragged, and whispered, shut up, they'll hear you." But even as the words left my mouth, I realized how stupid they were. Whoever was out there wanted to be heard. My phone lit up again. This time no ring, no buzz, just the screen glowing with a single notification. An unknown number. The message read, "Let me in." My fingers went cold around the phone. I wanted to throw it across the room, smash it, anything to stop those words from burning into my brain. Instead, I locked the screen and held it against my chest like it could shield me. The footsteps stopped. The silence pressed in, thicker than before. For a moment, I thought maybe it was over. Maybe whoever it was had given up. But then came another knock. Harder, sharper, more certain. And I realized this wasn't someone asking. It was someone demanding. The knock came again, harder this time, and I swear the clock ticked louder with it. 3 a.m., still frozen there on the screen of my phone like it was mocking me. This has to be a prank, I whispered to myself, voice trembling despite my attempt to sound casual. Drunk neighbor, kids messing around, delivery guy who got lost in time. I wanted to believe it. God, I wanted to believe it so badly. But every time I thought the sound would stop, it came again. 3 sharp raps, steady as a metronome. Not desperate, not random. Intentional. Jasper clawed at the floorboards, snarling so hard I worried he'd hurt himself. His eyes stayed locked on the door like there was a wolf on the other side, not a person. I pressed my back against the wall, clutching my phone, trying to think of something logical. Okay, rational brain, I muttered, half laughing. We've got options. 1. Ignore it. They get bored, go away. 2. Open the door and get murdered. 3. Call the cops and explain that some dude decided to practice percussion at my apartment. Another knock cut through my ramble. It was closer. That didn't make sense. It was still at the door, but somehow it felt louder, like the sound was inside my chest, reverberating in my ribs. And then, the whisper. At first, I thought I'd imagined it, my mind filling the silence. But no, it was real. Just beneath the sound of the knock, slipping through the cracks in the wood. A voice. My name. It wasn't said like a question, or even a command. It was savoring, like the way someone says the name of a dessert they've been craving. I froze. My body went cold. Nobody outside should know my name. Not at that hour. Not when I hadn't even ordered food or expected anyone. All right, I said out loud, trying to steady my shaking hands. New plan. It's a friend. Yeah, Dylan's drunk, trying to freak me out. Totally something he'd do. Except Dylan was on Discord with me less than an hour ago, complaining about a game update. And besides, Dylan didn't know my address. The knocking stopped. For one fragile moment, I thought it was over. I even let out a shaky laugh, muttering, "See? Told you. Nothing. Just bang." The whole door rattled, the chain lock clinking against the frame. Jasper yelped, jumping back, hackles raised. My phone slipped from my hand and clattered on the floor. All right, joke's over," I shouted, louder than I meant to. My own voice sounded alien in the silence that followed. Then, in that silence, came the voice again. Clearer this time, pressed right against the door, as if the wood itself was speaking. "Open up." 2 words. Simple, but they crawled under my skin, burrowed deep, because they weren't spoken like a demand. They were said like an inevitability. I pressed my hand against the doorframe, feeling the cool would vibrate with each breath from the other side. I wanted to look again through the peephole, but I couldn't bring myself to. The image of that blurred, grinning face was burned into my brain, and I knew if I saw it again. And then silence. The knocking stopped so abruptly it left a ringing in my ears, like when a song cuts off mid-note. For a second, I actually thought it was over. I let myself exhale, shoulders slumping, the tension in my body unraveling like a bad dream finally fading. Jasper eased too, though his ears were still pinned back, tail low. That's when I heard it. "Hey man, it's me. Open up." My blood ran cold. It was Dylan's voice, clear as day, muffled just slightly by the door. No, that wasn't possible. He was online less than an hour ago. He doesn't even know my address. I didn't answer. "Come on, dude." The voice continued, cajoling now. "It's freezing out here. You're not really gonna make me stand in the hall all night, are you?" The sound of my own friend's voice was so comforting, so normal, that for a heartbeat, I actually took a step forward. My hand hovered near the lock. But then Jasper growled, deep in his chest, and I stopped. Something was wrong. Dylan's voice was familiar, but it had no rhythm, no quirks, no pauses where Dylan would normally laugh at his own words. It was like hearing someone do a bad impression with a perfect pitch. I backed away. The voice changed. "Sweetheart," my mom's voice this time. Gentle, loving. "It's me. Please, open the door. I need you to let me in." I nearly dropped to my knees. Hearing her like that, soft, worried, hit me harder than any knock ever could. But then, underneath the sweetness, I heard it. That same distortion, that uncanny flatness, like someone was reading from a script they didn't understand. "My God," I whispered, clutching my head. "Please," she begged, her tone cracking. "Why are you doing this to me?" I shook my head, tears stinging my eyes. "You're not her. You're not." The voice went silent again. And then, laughter. Not Dylan. Not Mom. Not anyone I recognized. A low, scraping chuckle that slithered under the door and curled around me like smoke. Almost, it said. Not my voice. Not theirs. Just wrong. The laughter shifted into another imitation. My best friend from high school. Then a teacher. Then my ex. Each one calling my name, asking to be let in. Begging, pleading, mocking. Like someone flipping through channels of my life, spitting out the people I'd trusted most and warping them into puppets. I pressed my palms to my ears, shouting, "Stop. Just stop." But the voices didn't stop. They grew louder, overlapping, like a crowd outside the door. All of them urging, demanding, promising comfort if I'd just turn the lock. And the worst part? I almost did. My hand was inches away, fingers brushing cold metal, and for a second, the thought flickered across my mind. What if it really is them? What if I'm wrong? But I didn't open it. And thank God for that. Because I know, deep down, if I had, I wouldn't be here to tell you this. That's when the voices went quiet again. No laughter. No begging. Just silence. Until something new began. A slow, deliberate scratching against the doorframe. The scratching at the doorframe dug straight into my nerves. It wasn't loud. Not claws against wood like in some cheap horror flick. No, it was delicate, almost careful. Like someone tracing the outline of the door, measuring it, learning it. And that's when something clicked in my brain. Something I'd buried years ago. I'd read about this before. Maybe some of you have too. Late nights, scrolling through those forgotten corners of the internet. Old horror forums, threads on r/nosleep. Stuff you swear you only stumbled on by accident. There was this series of posts, half rumor, half warning, about the 3 a.m. door knockers. Yeah, laugh if you want. I did too. Everyone did. We all treated it like another creepypasta, just another scary bedtime story written by some anonymous kid in a basement. But I remembered the rules. Even then, even when I didn't believe, I remembered. Rule 1. Never open the door when the knocking begins. Rule 2. Never answer the voices. Rule 3. If they whisper your secret, it means they've already chosen you. I used to think that part was genius writing. Creepy, but clever. Now it wasn't clever. It was my reality. Because the moment they hissed something private through my door, the kind of thing no one else could possibly know, I realized I'd already been marked. And the worst part? The old posts never said what happens after. They always cut off. Always ended with half a sentence, or the author deleting their account, or a note from a moderator saying the thread was removed for safety. I leaned against the wall, breath shaking, whispering to myself, "It's not real. It's not real. It's just a story." But that scratching on the doorframe? That wasn't a story. That was happening right now, steady and patient, like something etching its way into my home. Maybe some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe you've read the same posts. Maybe you've even laughed at them. Brag to your friends about how none of this stuff is real. That's what I did. And if that's you, I hope, for your sake, you're right. Because if you hear that knock, you won't laugh anymore. The worst detail of the legend wasn't even the rules. It was the timing. Every post, every warning, made a point to mention the hour. The knocking only came at 3 in the morning. Not 2:59. Not 3:01. Always exactly at 3. And if you could survive until dawn, they'd leave. That was the only shred of hope I had left. I checked my phone again. 3:17 a.m. Time was crawling, each minute stretching into an hour. If I could just hold out, if I could stay awake, stay sane, maybe I'd live long enough to see the sun rise. But the problem with stories like these, the ones that spread like a virus through forums and subreddits, is that they always left something out. There was always a detail missing, a secret you were never meant to know until it was too late. And deep down, I had this sinking feeling I was about to find out what that missing piece was. The scratching stopped. Silence again. But silence was never safe. The silence didn't last. It never does. The next knock wasn't polite anymore. It rattled the entire frame, jolting the chain lock so hard I thought it might snap. Jasper bolted under the couch, tail tucked, whining in a way I'd never heard before. Then came the handle. Slow at first. A careful jiggle, like someone testing if I'd been stupid enough to forget the lock. Then faster. Harder. Metal clinking, shaking, bending. I shoved a chair against the door, then a second one, stacking whatever I could grab. A bookshelf. My coffee table flipped on its side. My apartment turned into a fortress of panicked clutter in under a minute. And still they kept trying. I pressed my back to the wall, clutching my phone like it could save me. My fingers hovered over the emergency dial. But what was I supposed to say? Yeah. Hi. Officer, there are monsters at my door whispering my browser history. A tap came at the window. Not the door, the window. Sharp, deliberate, like a fingernail against the glass. I whipped my head toward it, but the blinds were drawn tight. The sound traveled along the glass panes like something was walking its fingers across them, circling, hunting for a way in. Then the voices started again. Why are you doing this to yourself? It was Mom's voice again, clearer, softer. You're only making it worse. Just open the door. Let me in. I'll make it stop. I squeezed my eyes shut, shaking my head. You're not her. You're not. You're hurting me, she said, tone cracking perfectly. Too perfectly. Why are you hurting me? The words twisted my stomach, but I held firm. Until the next voice cut through, and I nearly dropped my phone. Hey man, you really think typing this out is gonna save you? My blood froze. That wasn't my mom. That wasn't Dylan. That was me. The voice outside repeated the exact words I'd just whispered into my phone mic a moment ago. Then it said something else. Something I was typing in real time into the Discord chat. They knew what I was typing. Right now, I scrambled to shut the app, slamming my phone face down like that would help. The laugh that followed was guttural, mocking, echoing through the door and windows at once. You think we don't see? The voice hissed. We see everything. I tried to laugh, to deflect. My throat came out dry and cracked, but I forced the words anyway. Congratulations, you hacked my Wi-Fi. Bet you're real proud of yourself. But the defensive humor didn't land this time, because the handle rattled again and the knocks grew violent, shaking dust loose from the ceiling. Every sound screamed desperation, not mine, theirs. They weren't playing anymore. They wanted in. I thought about the posts I'd read, the warnings I'd dismissed, about the ones who had opened their doors. The threads always ended the same way, vanishing mid-sentence, accounts deactivated, no closure. Nobody ever came back to tell the rest. And I realized, the silence wasn't because they'd survived. It was because they hadn't. The window tapping grew faster, syncopated, like multiple hands rapping along the glass. The walls themselves seemed to hum with pressure, the air dense and heavy. I shoved my last chair against the door, knuckles white, heart pounding so hard it hurt. The clock on my phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't want to look, but I did anyway. 3:32 a.m. 1 minute. 1 minute until the time I'd seen whispered across every forum post. The hour everyone said was the worst. 3:33. The witching minute. The breaking point. I held my breath, bracing, as the knocking, scratching, rattling all surged in unison, like the whole apartment was about to cave in. The door bulged inward with a groan that made my stomach drop. The screws in the hinges squealed under pressure, the chain lock stretched tight, the wood itself bowing like it was about to splinter. I threw my weight against it, shaking, breath ragged. The voices returned, louder than ever, overlapping like a choir of desperation. "Please, honey, please, it's me. It's Mom. I'm hurt. I need you. You're my best friend, man. Don't do this to me. Don't shut me out." And then, Jenna, my ex. A voice I hadn't heard in years, breaking, sobbing, pleading. "I can't take it out here anymore. Just open the door. Please." Each one hit me in the chest, harder than the pounding fists, harder than the rattling handle. My brain screamed that it wasn't real, but my heart twisted with guilt, with longing, with the part of me that just wanted the nightmare to end. The bulge in the door widened, cracking along the frame. My barricade trembled as the bookshelf skidded an inch across the floor. "Okay," I whispered to myself, hands shaking as they hovered over the lock. "Just a second. Just to check. Just." That's when I heard it. Beneath the voices of my family, my friends, my past, there was something else. Something that didn't belong. A guttural growl, low and wet, crawling up from the bottom of a throat that wasn't human. It rumbled beneath the screams and pleas, an undercurrent of hunger straining to break free of the disguise. The voices faltered. For the briefest second, they slipped, cracked, revealed the truth beneath them. And in that second, I understood. None of them were real. None of them had ever been real. I staggered back from the door, clutching my chest, shaking my head. "You almost had me," I muttered. My laugh was broken, hysterical, but it was all I had. Almost, but not enough. The growl rose higher, folding into a chorus of screams now. Blood-curdling, unearthly, the kind of sounds you don't forget even if you live to be 100. My supposed loved ones wailed in agony, their cries twisting into shrieks of torment, as though they were being torn apart right outside my door. My legs buckled. My ears rang. My vision blurred. It was too much. Every instinct screamed at me to make it stop, to open the door, to end it. And then I remembered something I'd read once, buried deep in one of those forum threads. "You want to know what happens if you open the door? You'll never get to tell the story." That line had stuck with me back then because it sounded edgy, almost cheesy, but now it hit me like scripture. If I gave in, that was it. My story would end here, mid-sentence, like all the others. So I clamped my hands over my ears, shut my eyes, and screamed back. Not words, not anything coherent, just raw noise to drown them out. The pounding intensified. The handle rattled like a machine gun. The walls shook. My lungs burned. My throat tore. Every nerve in my body telling me this was it. This was how it ended. And then, silence. The pounding stopped. The voices cut off mid-scream. The growl died like a snuffed candle. The air stilled, heavy, unnatural. I stayed frozen, body pressed against the barricade, chest heaving, ears straining for even the faintest sound. Nothing, just silence. I don't know how long I stayed like that, back against the barricade, fists clenched, every muscle locked. Minutes? Hours. My phone said 4:58, then 5:23, then 6:11. Somewhere in that blur of time, exhaustion finally pinned me where I sat. And then light. At first it was faint, a dim gray glow pressing through the blinds. Then brighter, warmer. Sunlight. Real sunlight, golden and familiar, flooding my living room, cutting across the wreckage of overturned furniture. I staggered to my feet, blinking, disbelieving. Jasper crept out from under the couch, his tail wagging hesitantly for the first time all night. He sniffed the air, barked once, then padded over to his bowl like nothing had happened. I almost cried. Relief hit me so hard my knees shook. I laughed, half sobbing, whispering, "I made it. I actually made it." I peeled away the barricade, one piece at a time. Chairs scraped. Books tumbled. My arms ached, but I didn't care. The sun was up. The nightmare was over. The door stood there, battered but intact, the chain lock still clinging on. I pressed my forehead against the wood and whispered, "Not today." For the first time since the knocking began, I let myself breathe without fear. I brewed coffee. I opened my phone. Notifications poured in, Discord pings, unread messages, memes in the group chat. Normalcy had returned. But there was something. A weight. A whisper of dread that refused to leave. I pulled the blinds open, letting sunlight stream fully into the room. The whole street outside was washed in gold. The kind of calm morning light you only notice after a sleepless night. Beautiful. Safe. Except, I noticed something wrong with the sunlight. It didn't feel warm. It didn't carry heat, not even on my skin. It painted the room bright, but left the air cold, stale, heavy. Shadows fell in strange angles, like the light wasn't coming from the sun at all, but from something else. I froze, coffee mug halfway to my lips, staring at the glow bleeding across the floorboards. That's when the dread came roaring back. Because the forums had mentioned dawn too, hadn't they? Survivors, if you could call them that. Writing that if you lasted until the sun came up, you'd be safe. That's where the posts always ended. But what if that wasn't the end? What if dawn wasn't deliverance, but the next step? Jasper growled low, staring at the same sunlight I was. His ears pinned back again. He didn't wag his tail this time. He just watched the floor like something was moving in it. My relief evaporated, replaced by that old, gnawing certainty. I wasn't out. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because when I checked the clock again, heart hammering, the numbers glowed bright on the screen. 3:01 a.m. So here I am, sitting in the wreckage of my apartment, coffee gone cold beside me, typing this out. Or maybe I'm not typing. Maybe I'm just speaking into the void, letting you hear the story the way I lived it. Raw, cracked, broken. Either way, you're listening now. And that might be a problem. I thought surviving until dawn meant safety. I thought making it through one night was the end of the story. But survival was only the beginning. Because the cycle doesn't end. I've tested it. Checked the time. Looked outside. And it always comes back. The clocks reset themselves. The light bends the wrong way. And sooner or later, it's 3 in the morning again. The knocking returns. The voices return. The temptation claws at me all over again. That's why I needed to get this out there. Not for sympathy. Not for clicks. As a warning. Some of you watching this, reading this, whatever medium it reaches you in, you've already heard the rules. Maybe this is your first time, maybe not. But once you know the story, once you hear it all the way through, you're part of it. That's how it spreads. Think I'm exaggerating? Ask yourself this. Why do all the old threads end halfway through? Why do none of the survivors ever post again? It's because the story doesn't let you walk away. It waits, it lingers, and then it starts over. And now, it's waiting for you. I don't mean to scare you. Well, no, that's a lie. I don't mean to scare you. Because if fear keeps you from opening the door, maybe you'll last longer than I did. Maybe you'll hold on when they whisper your name, or when they mimic someone you love. But listen to me, really listen. If you hear it, 3 soft knocks at exactly 3 a.m., don't get curious. Don't laugh it off. Don't touch the handle. Because the moment you do, it's already over. Has anyone else out there experienced this? I need to know I'm not the only one. If you've heard the knocking, if you've seen the wrong sunlight, leave something, comment, theory, whatever you can. Share it. Spread it. Not for fun. For survival. Because silence is what kills. And one more thing. Don't replay this story at 3:33 a.m. I mean it. That's when they knock again. That's when they slip past your defenses, when your brain is weakest, when you're desperate enough to listen. That's the hour they want. Maybe you're safe. Maybe you'll forget this by morning. Brush it off as another creepypasta on a channel you stumbled onto late at night. But deep down, you'll remember. You'll hear the echo of it when the house is quiet, when your phone buzzes with no caller ID, when your dog growls at nothing. And when the knock finally comes, because it will, you'll understand why I said all this. This isn't just my story anymore. It's yours now too. The cycle continues.